has just walked in the studio with a pile of papers under his arm. They're all music papers. So for a look at this week's Pop Press, here's John. Come on, John, what's happening in the press this week?
Well, you may well ask.
Pardon?
You may well ask.
Yes, I'm asking. Come on, what's in the press? Come on.
Look, you're an intellectual, aren't you? You remember last week we did Smash Hits, so it's not too difficult to work out that this week is Kerrannng week.
Oh, no.
I go down in the rain lunchtime. Is there a Kerrannng there?
Is there?
Nothing. I mean, I look forward to it. I mean, really, these alternate weeks are nothing. This Pop Press, I might as well pack up now. It's not worth carrying on because it's nothing without Kerrannng. I mean, let's face it. I mean, that paper caters is not for some of the artists who get to the top of the charts these days with their funny goings on. They're wholesome boys in there. They spend their lives, what? You look at the photos, it's just covering girls in lager and shaving cream and you know, it's all black magic and heavy metal. I just don't, I don't really think it's worth going on.
Oh,
really.
Come on, John. We all enjoy it. We love it when you come in here with your comments on the Pop Press just because you can't find Kerrannng. There must be something. Come on. Cheer up.
What's happened to those boys? Just not on. I went right down. You don't think they've really got into black magic? That's why there's no Kerrangs. Just occurred to me I can imagine them all there. Here, I've got this old book here. It's got a sort of a spell thing in it. It's here, how to raise Stan. What? How to raise Stan? It's not Stan. Look, it's Satan. There's another I in it. How to raise Satan. Oh, pretty I'd like to have seen Stan. I ain't seen him for weeks. Say, as trouble is I can't read properly. You see, I suffer from dyslexia. What? You know, we get me words wrong. Oh, you made dyslexia? Oh, that's a different... Anyway, let's try the spell and see if it works. Blood of victim stretched on rack. Half a lager and an old Big Mac. Yeah! It is smoking and bubbling. Hey, we can work it into the act. Hey, imagine we can put it on stage and I can go... I'm so confused. Kerrannng. Suddenly, they're probably swept away. All those boys into the cosmos by the Prince of Darkness. That's what I reckon that's happened because I went down to the Palladium, bloke down there, and he always has them at the back of the Palladium there. He always has Kerrannng. Right. I'd have walked through the rain, I got my feet wet. No Kerrannng. I reckon they've been swept away because these things have started. Since the hippie thing's come back, stranger things have happened. Mate, look, here in the paper, here, in NME, in fact, it's in all the papers. Paul Weller has issued a press statement and he says that the group have come up with novel ideas for inclusion in their performances. Levitation. They claim to have been in Tibet for over 2 weeks practising the mystic art, and they reckon they'll be quite accomplished by the time of the concerts. So it says, so shall we see Weller performing it on top of the pops while floating in mid-air? It says the mind boggles. Well, obviously it says Weller's does. Still without Kerrannng. That's about it, I suppose.
Come on.
There's the sounds thing. Obviously, there's their silly and
oh, good. We all enjoy that. We enjoy that.
Nothing against worst TV ads. I was surprised, look down the worst TV ads to see number 4, Cointreau. Do you remember that one?
I like that one.
That oily frog used to come on and say all that stuff about, hello, my name is, whatever it was, Jean-Pierre or something, you know. And she used to say, isn't that a large glass? And he'd say, not for what I have in mind. You thought, what? I mean, there's nothing you say. Turn the pages.
Well, what's number 1 worst ad, though?
Stalk margarine. Nothing at all. Hang on! There's me in it!
What?
I mean, look, record mirror. Do you know, on Tuesday, when I was doing Walter's Week, and I was saying, wee, that wingding with champagne and stuff that MCA had, and you didn't get things like that today. It used to be every week in the old days, 60s, 70s. And there's a list of all the people there. Rick Wakeman, Jeff Beck, Bell Stars, Joe Boxers. Then it says, most of the Radio 1 crowd. Then it says, Mike Smith, John Walters and Janice Long. Are we the Radio 1 crowd? Turn the pages, hang on, another paper. There must be... Sounds! Sounds have got me in. I'm in sounds. Woo! It says all their Bell Stars, Joe Boxers, Marilyn, Kate Gamma. That can't be right. Kate Garner, innit? Oh, perhaps they're right the first time, who knows. But anyway, and it says, and a host of Radio 1 types, including Mike Smith, Gary Davis, John Walters, Janice Long. Do I look like a Radio 1 type? Do I?
Not with those ties.
No, 'cause I'm too fat for a start. You see, I mean, again, here sounds... Look. And I needed to be too fat for this one, because I also mentioned on Tuesday going to that jazz centre reception, about all these jazz tours. And it mentions me in that, and it says here, but Miles Kington was in it. It says, he's not fat, he's thin, but it says, Miles Kington was followed by a balloon-bellied bon viveur. George Melly, if you'd wipe that silly, flipping Scottish-Canadian smile off your silly fat face. And it says, looking like a penguin who'd just eaten an igloo. The paunchy pioneer pacifist made a moving speech and then blah, blah, blah. And it says, there was an attempt then by certain elements to institute a trumpet jam session betwixt Sounds managing director Jack Hutton and passing producer DJ John Walters. And it's signed Viscount Coltrane. I know, do you know who that is? Because he was there. It's Gary Bushell. From says Gary Bushell at a jazz gig. And I said, hello, what? He says, well, I've got to be open for all sorts of things, says old Gary Bushell. He used to be the Skinheads man, beat of the street, Gary Bushell.
Oi music.
Oi, that was Gary Bushell. And I'll tell you something else, he was wearing a sweater which had Pierre Cardin.
Ooh.
Pierre Cardin across it.
Giveaway.
Only a step away from Encuentro. Across it, has he? And I said, where'd you get that then, Gazza? And he says, it's a Christmas present. He says, you've got to be open for it. He's open for anything here. What? Get away from it. Still, it's nice to get your name in the papers, and I'm sure you'll agree, but helps the old ego. Hello, look, Melody Maker, top 10 egos. They've got a new poll.
Uh-oh.
Do you know who's number one?
Mm-mm.
Mike Reid, number one here.
Yeah.
Ooh, dear, it says legendary axe hero and Cliff Richard lookalike. Mike's one-man clean-up our airways campaign is helping to put Great Britain, put the great back into Britain. That's what they say about Mike. My goodness, I feel sorry for him. He got clamped this morning,
Yes, that's
Not
right.
Mike, the car, obviously, I mean, he's faster than that, Before they got it off screwed in, he'd be away. I think he's been overworking, though. But I see he's been overworking, you see. Look, all that cable television, we saw pictures of him in the paper. They've been trying it on the Scandos.
Yes.
It's here in the paper here. Pop paper here. And it says that they've been trying it in, like Finland, Norway, all that sort of thing. And they say it's going down a storm. But they also point out that there's no competition. There's nothing else on. And then they describe a programme. And they say, Reid is in the studio. Says, and finally, the moment we've all been waiting for, Mike Reid, who later admits he's been singing the lyrics of Relax around the house for weeks without realising what they meant, interviews Holly from the forbidden, frankly hysterical Frankie Goes to Hollywood. It's the all-time anticlimax. Relaxed a bit too much, obviously. And it says, Reid manages not to mention the song, his opinions, or the band. However, there's a lot of talk about parrots. Isn't that typical? You Radio 1 disc jockeys, put you on the telly, talk about yourselves. Ooh! Well, that's it. As I say, without Kerrannng, there's nothing else.
There must be. You got a few more things there.
No, the usual thing. Look at this. Record Mirror. When did you last read something like this? Warbling wops beware. So popular is celebrated disco chanteuse Gloria Gaynor in the land of lasagna-loving Latinos that the homegrown talent gets narrier looking. That's in Record Mirror today. Turn the page. Hello. Thing here about Carol Kenyon. And she's singing. No good loud singer. It says that her dad would tinkle around on the piano, and often she'd join in when he played Tommy Dorsey and Count Basie records. She'd need to have a loud voice. No wonder she's developed it. I've tried that, playing Count Basie records on the piano. But see, the main thing, they won't go round. That's the main thing. I just put them on the piano. Get nothing.
Dear.
Terrible. Trousers. Something here about trousers. That might interest you.
Oh, yeah, what?
Guy Holger Hiller. German kind of Dadaist, artisty, folky, flipping, rock hippie kind of thing. He used to be with that Palais Schaumburg.
Yeah.
He's got stuff of his own out now, but it says here he's written a mini 15-minute opera. For television, it's called Guten Morgenhose, Good Morning Trousers. And it says it continues a bizarre German obsession with trousers. And it says it centres on an incestuous plot involving a father, a daughter, a carpet, a pair of trousers, and a trouser chorus offering good advice. Now, look, I can accept good advice with the next man, but from a trouser chorus? It's not the sort of advice I want to hear. And they put it on the television and immediately followed it by Spandau Ballet, performing Gold. I don't know what the trousers had to say about that. Nothing, as I say. No Kerrannng. Hello, it's a letter of the Melody Maker from some American, or North American. Oh, sorry.
Easy now.
Yeah, sorry about that. But he says he's noticed in the more recent backlash features a growing number of letters designed to illustrate a lack of intelligence in Americans and staggering superiority in British thought. And he says the British take it all too seriously. He says in America, they don't take pop seriously. It's too serious here. And he said, this is not because Americans are stupid or have no social conscience. Those who wish to make a serious social statement choose an effective medium, politics, writing, theatre. Talking, walking. Melody maker, come back. So in this country, music is fast becoming the only medium through which people can express their dislikes and tastes and so on. And also, he's said the music is an opium here. And they said it's not an opium, it's an opiate. Twerp's can't even read and write. Well, there wasn't without Kerrang! I had to get a copy of Rolling Stone.
Oh, yes.
Rolling Stone here. Now, look at that lot on the front.
Who are they?
Well, you may ask, you're too young to remember. Concert of the Year. They've had a great big concert on in America. It's a tour. It's a good cause, really, because it's Ronnie Lane, because I didn't know for some time that he had multiple sclerosis, of course, and he's got this big campaign raising fund. And all these geezers, very nice. Clapton, Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, all the old fellas, Charlie Watts and co, have all been giving these huge concerts. But, of course, the Americans think this is it. I've got this new secretary just for this week, that's Simone. I don't know if you've seen her, little girl. She's only 19. She's just into George Benson. She's never heard the Peel Show before she had to type the script. In fact, she hasn't heard it now, as far as I know. But, I said to her, look at this. And this photograph of them all on the front. She looked at it and said, ugh. Just like that. She doesn't know any of them all. You see, the Americans think these are superstars. And it quotes from in there. It says, at the concert, Maria Muldaur sat there and shouted, eat your heart out, Jerry Garcia. Well, who's Maria Muldaur these days? Never mind Jerry Garcia. They're hopeless. You can see straight away why the Yanks are so impressed. Look at it. They think all those old tots, nice enough old guys, but look at that picture. Doesn't Charlie Watts look terrible? Oh, God. But there, they think Boy George, obviously, go mad for him. There's a good quote from him here, because apparently, this is in Rolling Stone, he tried to get into Claridge's hotel, and they wouldn't let him in because he wasn't wearing the correct tie and jacket. And he said, I've got a very nice button-up smock jacket and my tie happens to be round my head. Sort of style they like, yeah, of course. They're still stuck with the Beatles. On the other hand, so are we. But we don't worship them anymore. There's McCartney and they're having a go. You've seen that Pipes of Peace video,
sure.
Right? On
the war
telly.
thing.
Yeah, I never knew where they did it. Turns out they dug up Chobham Common. Nick Woking, it says, and the horsey people who live round there long banned from trotting their animals on the hallowed common for fear of damaging it, are particularly furious. I don't blame them, that's in the Melody Maker. But once people never knocked the Beatles. Now look here, that new Beatles, the Lennon Yoko album.
Yeah.
Now this is from The Guardian here, from Mary Harron, who's a very astute critic. Her review is, and she's saying of Len, she said, he could also be horribly maudlin, as in, forgive me, my little flower princess. Although even his worst songs are preferable to Paul McCartney's homilies, now suddenly everybody's having a go. Look away, straight away, let's have a look here. Now look, listen to this. This is about the Lennon-Yoko album, right? If it is a Victorian verse drama enshrined in Marylebone and much as Robert might have improvised of filial attachment and keen non-conforming character, metaphysic and prophetic visitant, then Milk and Honey is as well an incomplete conversational medium between Winston O'Browning and Elizabeth Ono Barrett. A fugitive piece, perhaps, or literary remains. You think, hello, smash hits. No, NME. There it is, you see, that's Penny Real. She does it quite a sympathetic, rather literary, and I think she must have some sort of, she's beginning evening classes in literature. So she keeps referring to tennis and all that sort of thing. It's all the way through, and Browning and all that sort of thing. But then, you see, you turn to Melody Maker. At least hers is a bit sympathetic. Melody Maker, they say, which I must agree about, because I thought before Lennon died, that double fantasy, nobody wanted to know. It might as well have been about Ringo. And this chap here, who is it, Colin Irwin in Melody Maker, says one of the most neglected tragedies of John Lennon's murder was that it meant he left on an all-time artistic low. I said, like, double fantasy, what a load, you know. And it says it was intended as a rebirth, but events took over and it became a weight, trivial and tepid. It was the least appropriate requiem a genius could have had. Then it goes on to this current Milk and Honey, and it said that might have been an attempt to restore his musical muscle, but he said it's a little bit enigmatic, but it's 1,000,000 times more enigmatic than Pipes of Peace, that's for sure. They're having a go at McCartney again, you see. Really right up and says, this is the review. Ode dear. Ode spelled O-D-E, like poets. That's it. I mean, oh dear. Actually, she does add a bit more, but she says, there's the world's first two-word review. Amazing how people come. You see, everybody, there's a backlash. Billy Bragg.
Not already.
Billy Bragg. I said I had lunch with Billy, I told you that. Your name didn't come up, but I had lunch.
What? Yes.
The lunch came up, but your name didn't.
Right.
On, when was it, Tuesday, and I was having lunch, and he was saying, he says, of course, there's got to be a Billy Bragg backlash, because he's had so many good reviews, and his stuff is so, like, transparent. You know, it's so easily listened to. People are going to have to say, you know, the critics want something harder and clever, Dick. And so somebody's written to NME here, and they've done a Mickey take of Billy Bragg's New England, you know. It finishes up, I don't want to change the world, I don't want to be like Costello, I just want to be another jam. And you think, hello? Are they hinting at criticism? Here? The next letter isn't hinting at criticism, because it says, when I read the kind of coverage you give to an arrogant and talentless little boop like Billy Bragg, it makes me wish they'd press the button. But still, all I have to do is to wait for the Billy Bragg backlash, don't I? And I'll be reassured that I was right. I knew they'd have a go. Well, let's finish on somebody who's very new, who they've not had a go at yet. A group I saw on about their third gig, and I could tell they were going to be something because all the clever dicks in the music business were turning away and going to the bar. And I thought, they must be that good? Wow. Pushed them in, booked them for the Peel show. Now they've got a record out. Yip Yip Coyote, White Hat Rock, I dubbed it, and now there are plenty of bands out there playing sort of Roy Rogers cowboy kind of music. At least that's what it's inspired by. And whoever it is here in the Melody Maker, Yip Yip Coyote, a zany bunch of cowboys and girls with a whooping and a hollering song of the Wild West. Yee-haw kind of thing. Woo, lovely. Then Stuart Copeland of The Police is in Record Mirror and says, it sounds like Bow Wow Wow. I approve of this group. I saw them. And they've got the best bass player in the business. And incidentally, if you're listening, Stuart, it may come as a surprise to know that Miles, who's your brother, actually owns the record label on which they're working. Hey, is that true? Wow, I didn't know that. No, I thought you did. Wow. But then we asked, let's get a more independent view. Finally, from Joel Sean Murray, who's